That house is illegal. That's how it started. Just me, minding my own business, wrestling a porch swing off my U-Haul. And suddenly there's this sound, loud and shrill, cutting through the hills behind me, like some banshee who'd just been told she couldn't return her discount coupons. I look up, and here comes Maureen Kettle, president of the Willow Crest Villas HOA. Hair permed to perfection, barreling down my driveway on a golf cart that was basically a mobile command center, plastered with no chickens, bumper stickers, and a stack of laminated bylaws, strapped to the roof like she was about to drop ordnance on me. She skidded that thing sideways, leaps out, doesn't even shut the cart off, and points straight at my freshly painted farmhouse, finger trembling like she's about to call in an airstrike. That home is unapproved, unregulated, unhalicious, she shrieks, and honestly, her voice had this frequency that could probably strip paint if you tried. She starts waving around this 3-ring binder looked official, but I'm pretty sure half of it was just neighborhood gossip printed off Facebook. I just blinked, set the swing down real slow, and said, "Ma'am, my property's not even in your HOA." And that's when things got wild. She whips out her phone and, I swear, dials 911 to report what she calls an unsanctioned lifestyle. My name's Doug Winters, 48, ex-firefighter from the Arizona suburbs. Yeah, I've seen chaos, but nothing like an HOA president on a mission. All I wanted was a peaceful little white farmhouse on 5 acres out in Hickory Bend, somewhere I could grow tomatoes, adopt a couple goats, maybe spend a Saturday sitting on my porch swing in absolute silence, just breathing and listening to the crickets. The best part was being out of reach. Willow Crest Villas had a reputation as is a place where lawn flamingos cost you $50 a day, and using the wrong shade of eggshell on your shutters can lead to a lawsuit. To me, my farmhouse was more than a house. It was a monument to Freedoma, little island beyond the HOA's chokehold. But Maureen Kettle, 61, widow, queen of the pastel cardigan, had been ruling Willow Crest with an iron fist, velvet gloves for HOA board meetings, of course, for nearly a decade. She once fined her own daughter for parking too close to the curb. Yeah, that happened. She measured grass with a ruler and kept an Excel sheet of mailbox violations. She saw my place as a direct threat proof that life existed without her rules. The siege started 3 days after I moved in. First, it was flyers in my mailbox, courtesy compliance reminders, printed in Comic Sans and slipped in like she was blessing me with HOA wisdom, despite having zero jurisdiction here. One said my porch swing was hung at the wrong angle. Another, my gravel driveway was too loud. She even copied the Willow Crest bylaws, highlighted random parts, and, I don't know, expected me to cry. I ignored her, so she escalated. Community notices started appearing, taped to my fence, warning about the dangers of road development zones. She filed noise complaints with the county, said my roosters were too loud. I don't own roosters. I own wind chimes. Then she calls the health department, claims my compost pile is a biohazard. The inspector comes out, sees a pile of coffee grounds and veggie scraps, just shakes his head, says, "Buddy, you're fine." But Maureen's not done. Next, she builds a 6-foot fence along our property. Line looked like the Berlin Wall, only with signs like mandatory smile zone and no open-toed shoes on Mondays. I'd hear her muttering about property values, society collapsing, whatever. Every morning, 7:30 sharp, she'd post up at the edge of her lot, peering at my place through these massive binoculars, jotting in her little journal, humming "God Bless America," but never quite hitting the notes. Let me back up a sec because I decided to test her limits. One Saturday, I invite some buddies over, just guitars, bonfire, nothing crazy. We keep the music low, fires in the pit. 30 minutes in, here come a fire truck, she called them, said I was running an illegal burn facility. She calls the zoning office about an unlicensed concert venue. She even called the Historical Society and complained I was tampering with the aesthetic legacy of the soil. I still don't know what that means. But the piece de resistance came on Monday. She files a property line adjustment with the county, trying to annex 20 feet of my yard. For real. The paperwork was detailed, even forged a surveyor's signature. A guy had been dead for years. But, lucky for me, my cousin works as a county clerk, and he flagged it, called me straight away. So, that's when I said enough. I walk in the county office next day with drone footage, notarized surveys from 3 actual surveyors, and me favorite security cam clips of her sneaking onto my land at 2 a.m. to measure my garden gnome. Oh, and a flash drive labeled Karen files, every call she ever made to public agencies about me, which, yes, are public record. The county did more than laugh. They launched a full audit of everything Maureen had filed in 5 years. The fake paperwork was traced right to her home printer. Her HOA presidency? Frozen. Ethics review? Pending. Meanwhile, I decided to celebrate. I threw a non-HOA appreciation cookout, made flyers, told the whole town freedom from the covenants. 147 people showed up, including 2 current Willow Crest board members. One whispered, "Please don't tell Maureen we're here. She makes our lives miserable, too." We had grills, a bouncy castle, a local band on my porch. People parked wherever, wore whatever. Someone pitched a tent just because they could. It was glorious chaos. And Maureen? She watched the whole thing from her golf cart, getting redder by the minute. Then she drives the cart into the drainage ditch, climbs out covered in mud, waving this homemade citation pad, screaming about anarchy and satanic goats. My guest just stared, half in shock, half in stitches. When she started trying to chain herself to my mailbox, the police showed up again for what the dispatcher said was the 7th time that month. This time, it wasn't a warning. This time, she was cited for trespass, harassment, and trying to impersonate a municipal officer. She made a badge out of tinfoil and a dog tag. Not her best DIY. That same evening, Willow Crest held an emergency voting in a driveway. Lasted 3 minutes, and, yeah, even her old allies kicked her out. When the letter came the next day, neighbors heard her scream from 3 blocks away. But the kicker, the real end, came in court. The judge guy, with zero patience for what he called neighborhood nonsense, sentenced her to 40 hours community service at the very zoning office she'd weaponized. Her first task? Handing out flyers about property lines. She had to pay me $8 grand in damages and was banned from HOA office for 5 years. You know, when the judge read that, Maureen's jaw dropped, glasses hit the floor, and she just froze like a fish out of water, finally getting what it meant to lose control. But hey, that's how it goes when you try to rule the world from a golf cart. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line between order and obsession? Was justice served? Or did we just start another kind of war? Drop your take in the comments, tell me. Where's the line between neighborly concern and straight-up madness?